Welcome to the virtual towers of Binary Arcadia, where the games go on long into the night. Greetings, Barcadians. You're joining us today for another episode of Chill Chat Play. For those of you new to this format, well, essentially, Rich and I are going to play a game together and have a chat about some of the recent hot topics in the games industry. Cast our opinion, share some thoughts, probably all a load of crap, but feel free to let us know what you think in the comments and to put us right if we go wrong. So, just to let you know, the game we'll be playing today, it is Shenmue 3. So, I was a backer of the Kickstarter campaign. As we know, it was a rampant success. And I got mine through, I think 2 days ago now, my copy. But I've just been deep in Death Stranding and I just couldn't pull myself out. But we thought, no better time, Rich, to at least change the pace a little bit with a different experience.
I read today that everyone that backed Shenmue 3 is in the credits at the end. Does that mean your name will feature in the credits at the end?
Yeah, if that's a guarantee. I mean, crikey, it's going to be a long list, isn't it, of credits?
I did think, I wonder whether I can find Tabz' name, and then realise it's a 19-minute video.
We're not going to be completing it in this playthrough. I think it's like a 40-hour plus game.
4 hours. It's 4 hours.
But maybe at some point in a future video, we'll 4 hours. Maybe in a future video, we'll do a little zoom in that 90-minute credits reel and find my name.
19.
But yeah, Rich. I know I extended it for comedic effect.
I do apologise.
Rich, would you like to share with the Barcadians, a bit of the background that we have with Shenmue as a franchise, what your thoughts are running up to Shenmue 3 just before we get loaded in?
So I think we played a lot of Shenmue 1 together on the Dreamcast, and it was fascinating. One of the first, in my mind, real worlds.
Open world?
Open world, but it had been created in a way that it was so detailed. It was insanely detailed. Like, you could pick little ornaments up, and yeah, it was incredible. The detail, people had like regimes they would do. They'd go to work, they'd come home. There was day and night. Yeah, it was a bit of a game changer in some respects, and we both loved it for that.
Just to grab the torch and boulder in, yeah, absolutely, mate. I think it was very influential game. Certainly had a massive cult following. A really powerful fan base who got very emotionally attached with the game, I think. But at the same time, I think it was almost, and this is going to be a theme for this Chill Chat Play, it was polarising, wasn't it? There were also other people who thought it was a hugely boring and mundane experience because of what you've just said, that it mimicked that everyday life in many ways. There was menus, there was a day and night cycle, there was almost chores, wasn't there? You had a job at one point.
Yeah.
There were definitely elements which were grindy.
Yes.
But part of that, I think, is the reason why I loved it, and I think you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, we're really big fans of the series, but rocking up to Shenmue 3, Rich, what are your thoughts? And I think we share most of them.
Well, the trouble is we're blessed with games that look incredible now. Like we're both playing Death Stranding at the minute, and the character models and motion capture of the people is insane. It's out of this world. It almost looks realistic. Whereas I don't think Shenmue is going to look like this. I think it is certainly the trailers I've seen of it. It looks a bit ropey, to be honest. That will be my. I know that's probably a bit harsh. I know that I shouldn't say that, but. So we'll have to see how good it is. I think possibly some mixed reviews on it from the people in the industry.
I was going to say, I think it's going to be almost as polarising as other games that we've already mentioned and we'll go on to mention, namely Death Stranding and Pokemon. But I think, and there's reasons for what you said. I think it's absolutely fair to say that the animation is not top notch. The graphics generally are not, I think there's some pretty scenes in there, but I don't think they're top notch. One, because it was a kickstarted game, and despite the fact they made millions from it, it's still, in the grand scheme of things, a small budget to make a big game on. Whereas Shenmue back in the day, well, at the time it was kind of a AAA game, wasn't it? It was one of the most expensive games of all time, at least in its frame of reference. And then, you know, on top of that, it was technologically groundbreaking. But the problem with that is it was a game stuck in the past that needed a continuation. So the other side of that reason is, well, do you actually appease hardcore fans, reach back to that nostalgia and kind of channel some of that old game feel? You know, or is that just something to hide behind because you haven't got the budget for it? And I think it's where it's going to find itself on that scale. Are they going to just make Shenmue 3 as if it was released back in the days of the Dreamcast? Or are they going to try and do something new? Are they going to get caught between those two posts and in the end make some kind of Frankenstein's monster that doesn't work for anyone? Hard to say.
I've not played it. Obviously, you're about to play it for the first time, but from what I've seen, it looks like there's nothing groundbreaking for the series here. It looks like they've taken what worked before and then improved the graphics to get it somewhere to nearer to modern day graphics. I don't think there's going to be a lot new here. I mean, we'll see, but
absolutely. And before this turns into a 60-minute Shenmue video, shall we crack on?
Definitely. Let's get into it.
Right then. So I can't pause this, Rich. So I'm actually going to hit the capture button now. Can I do that when I'm outside of a game?
Yeah. Don't know. Just crack on, mate.
No, let's not risk it. Okay, I'm going to dive into this, so it will start straight away, and I'll hopefully record as soon as I possibly can. You ready?
Yeah, go.
Okay, and I'm going to vocally, Barcadians, just for editing purposes, shout out when I hit record. I'm not being a strange person. Here we go. And we're live.
And it literally looks like Shenmue.
It's very bright, isn't it?
It is bright, isn't it? Almost washed out. It's that bright.
Is that the village up ahead?
Yeah, cool. I guess this is the cutscene at the very, very start of the game, Tabs. This is the first time you loaded this up, yeah?
Literally brand new. Yeah, I've not seen any of this.
Cool. So, what else are we going to talk about today while we're playing Shenmue 3? Well, there's 3 topics we'd like to discuss today. Google Stadia. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to move on to talk about Pokemon and the trials and tribulations that have happened there. And then we're going to end the video on a little bit of discussion about the upcoming Game Awards. Titles that we think deserve a mention, titles that we think maybe deserve some awards. So yeah, I guess we should dive in to what we're going to talk about first, unless you want to do anything about Shenmue before we carry on, Tabs.
Well, I've got an issue, mate. I can't invert the camera. And as we know, that's a necessity for me.
Oh, didn't you say that you... Didn't you say to us at the weekend that you couldn't invert the camera on it?
Did I? Well, I've forgotten. But yeah, I'm not feeling... I'm just going to have to crack on, mate, and cope. There you go, Barcadians. If I'm looking up and down a lot, that's why. Sorry, Rich. Yeah, do you want to whip crack away? You lead us with this.
Sound. So, so Google Stadia launched last week, I believe. Was it Friday last week, potentially? I think. Looks like that's a settings page 1 tab. Does that suggest there's a second page?
Oh, is there?
R2.
Good call. Controller settings. Yes!
Smashed
Camera
it.
Vertical, inverted.
Back of the net.
We're happy with that.
So yeah, Google Stadia launched last week, I believe, and this was on the back of them already saying that, I know we said we're going to launch it with all these things, but actually they'll have to come in future updates. So, you know, it doesn't have Buddy Pass for the first 2 weeks. There's only one original first-party game, I believe, which I think it's a name that escapes me currently. I think is it Gift or...
We'll put it at the bottom of the screen now.
Yeah, I can't. It's the name just eludes me right now.
That's how groundbreaking it is that we don't really know what it's called.
I don't know a lot about it, to be fair. I don't have Google Stadia, so it was originally going to release with 12 games. Ended up releasing with 22 after a bit of backlash, and all of the games barring that one are all like old games. Probably the newest one on there I probably would say was Red Dead 2, which is an incredible game, don't get me wrong. But the trouble with that is this Google Stadia is a subscription service, as we've come to know now. Relatively expensive subscription, but on top of your subscription you have to pay for your games. So if you want to play Red Dead, it's an additional £60 on top of your already monthly subscription. Now, if you buy Red Dead nowadays for the PS4, well, let's just have a look. How much can I get Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PS4? So if I wanted to go out and buy that now on the PS4, that will be £30. So it's half the price, and it's half the price because it's been out, what, a year? So it's like old technology, but they're now selling it at a premium price. On top of that, there's widespread talk that it doesn't work particularly well, and seemingly for lots of reasons other than just the one we would think it wouldn't work properly for, which is internet connection. Obviously, when we've covered Google Stadia in previous videos, we've said that we thought it was a slam dunk that slow internet connection would mean that you basically wouldn't be able to play. There'd be latency on the controls and the like, poor frame rates, but actually it seems like you get that with a good internet, but actually the game it seems to work fine if you have a very poor internet connection. I've seen some reports of I think Mortal Kombat's audio on its videos of being up to 1 second slow. There's talk that somebody who was using it, that I'd read, that there was a 4-second delay between them pressing a button and their character moving.
That's
which
dreadful.
I mean, that makes it unplayable, doesn't it, Tabz? You can't sensibly play a game like that, can you?
No, and I think that's it. I've heard hit and miss things though. Some people have said, in what it does is its very core, it works, at least if that's you're lucky enough to hit on that, the right setup. But it doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it, as you've said. There's the infrastructure behind it doesn't seem that robust, does it? And that's just that's core, isn't it, for this sort of experience? If they've got that wrong at launch, then worrying.
And I'd just like to say, this is a brand new technology, so it's obvious that it's going to have teething problems. Most brand new technology does, but they've brought a brand new technology seemingly to market that's not ready. I would say this technology is so infant currently that it's not ready for launch. To have these problems straight off the deck is incredibly damaging to the Google Stadia product.
Absolutely, and they should have soft launched it for this very reason. All the fanfare they put into it, and they've just totally under-delivered, over-promised. It's a shambles, isn't it? Just shadow drop it without any PR around it, really. Let it grow over time and do the speaking with action as opposed to words. Would have been a much better way, but as we're seeing a lot these days, companies seem to be very good at putting their foot in their mouth and killing any goodwill that they previously had in their communities.
And I think it's also made worse by the fact that now you're almost testing a product that doesn't really work properly. And I think Google can make this work. They've got enough money and technology behind them that they can make this product work. But
this lady is actually illustrating what Google are doing to their reputation right now.
Nice. But for me, they've got to get themselves out of this hole. And the hole is made all the worse by people are now almost testing your product, but they're paying a premium to do so. And that is not going to carry favour with the gamers that are on it. I can tell you that.
Let's have a look around here first.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's just crashing and burning for... Oh, blimey. Gated in this little area. Yeah, I'm very glad it's crashing and burning, Rich, just because we've always been massive skeptics of it, and Google just crashing in the games industry like that. So, I'm happy to usher in innovation and see new technology being done right, but I don't think this is a case of that, clearly.
No, definitely not. And yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but currently it is not going particularly well. So we'll have to see how that moves forwards. Hopefully they can sort it and it becomes a better a better product for it. Because, I mean, ultimately, we're all going to end up on streaming platforms. You know, that's where we're going to end up in, 20 years' time, or whatever it is. But let's move this now on to Pokemon Tabs. Do you want to tell us a bit about this? If you've
so gist is massive controversy around Pokemon, mostly because of what's being termed dexit. So the Pokedex has been, I think, more than halved in terms of the turnout for the, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Obviously, fans are very dismayed by that because, well, Pokemon as a series has cultivated a community that have become almost emotionally attached to various different types of Pokemon in the different iterations they've put out. They've now got, I think it's 800 plus Pokemon across the series.
Wow.
So they've essentially bricked themselves into a corner. So in some ways I don't have a lot of sympathy because part of that is to do with money grabbing, isn't it? If we're honest, Rich, about what Pokemon has become as a series. They put out 2 titles on an annual basis by regurgitating the same formula year on year. I was a huge fan of the original, but with every year that passes, I kind of lose a bit of hope, goodwill, excitement in the franchise, just because I feel like it's being burned out and it's just becoming soulless. It's losing its soul, is what I would say.
For me, I would say it's sold out. So it used to be a little, it was a groundbreaking game at the time. It was something unique. It offered a unique, and it did for many, many years. But then obviously Pokemon Go came along, which was the one on the mobile. And I thought that was a cool idea. But again, it wasn't really in keeping with the Pokemon franchise because of the way it did it, the mechanics of how it didn't even keep the original mechanics of how you had to like battle a Pokemon's health down and then you could capture it. You could literally capture a Pokemon. But I know a lot of people took enjoyment from that game. And then Pokemon Let's Go, although actually I did get Pokemon Let's Go and I did enjoy that game. But yeah, I feel like it's become more of a cash cow rather than a passion piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the studio are probably burned out developing the games. I think that's the undercurrent of a lot of this as well, that fans are perhaps seeing that now. We know with this Dexit issue that Game Freak gave the excuse that they couldn't get all these characters in because of the, they're developing a new game, a new engine. Well, it's alleged and it's not proven, but apparently the models that they've used have been pulled, or they're very similar to the ones in Pokemon Let's Go, which kind of just totally makes that excuse look a bit, well, it's itchy beard time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Was that just an excuse and a feeble one at that? And then you're kind of lying to fans, aren't you, if that is the case? And then on top of that, just to make matters worse, well, I think the presentation generally is... It's not next gen, is it? Game Freak... Go on.
I actually saw someone had said, and I think it might have been on the BBC website, the person that reviews games there said, playing Pokemon was like watching an episode of South Park.
What, a trip back in time in that way?
Well, yeah, you've seen, South Park's very rough and ready graphics, isn't it? You've watched South Park, I'm sure, but... Yeah,
I see, yeah, because the kind of paper cutout style.
Yeah, that's how what they refer, and I thought, flipping heck, that's insane. This is the thing. I would have preferred as a fan if they'd have just taken a massive risk, not quite landed it, but, it had some sort of... It hit some new notes and was different and a new experience, and there was at least some passion in there. Whereas they just... Oh, God, I'm being gated horrendously. I've got to wait till 7 o'clock, mate. There's nothing to do. Yeah, so I just, as a fan, I'm just at this point where what I think needs to happen is Nintendo need to boulder in, they need to take stock, they need to invest, get their heads together, really flesh out this development team, refresh it, and give them some proper tools and know-how. Let's look for Breath of the Wild, for example. That was designed for the Wii U, ported to the Switch. It still looks like years ahead of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is built from the ground up, apparently, for the Switch,
which is a much more capable console. They need to take a proper look at themselves, use this as an opportunity to sober up and think, we can't let this rot go on in the franchise anymore. And I think personally, adjust that model a bit. Maybe stop releasing 2 games, and especially annually, and just shake it up a bit and take a couple more years, 2 years, maybe 3 years, and really put some time into carving out a genuinely meaningful experience, not just another cash grab. But will they do that? Highly unlikely. But that's my point of view.
On the back of that, another game which has had extremely mixed reviews. Some people absolutely love it. Some people think it's a piece of shit. It seems to be all over the place with reviews.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I was listening to this chat. What was that? Sorry, crux of it.
I said the reviews again. They seem to be all over the place. We've had good reviews, bad reviews. IGN reviewed it very well, I think. We seem to be. It's the year this year
polarizing times
of polarization. Everybody, some people love games, some people don't like games, and it seems to be this massive, broad spectrum of reviews on games, and almost to the point where, I don't know, I don't understand why games are being so universally hated and liked at the same time.
I think there's just so many voices, isn't there? There's so many platforms to also express that voice and opinion that, it's just become a bit of a cesspit, isn't it, in some ways?
Well, yeah.
Of opinions. I mean, with this Pokemon game, from what I've seen, is if you're a hardcore Pokemon fan, you love them year on year, and I'm sure there's still a lot of good Pokemon-ness in this game, then I think you can enjoy it. But if you're not, and you're someone like me who's drifted from the series a little bit and has lost their passion, I don't think you're going to be blown away by it. So, hardcore fan, you probably give it 8 or 9 out of 10. Someone like me, you might give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. And that's a very broad brushstroke of what I've seen of the polarization in reviews. I think I just, now we a bit older and we can look at the games industry, form our thoughts and opinions on that. I just see this undercurrent of a franchise which, formerly had so much goodwill, and it just seems to be slipping because of, money.
And it's actually really interesting. It brings us on to our next topic. So we've got the Game Awards upcoming, and given how polarising reviews have been this year, it's literally anybody's guess on what could win Game of the Year. All of the games that are nominated for Game of the Year have had good reviews, bad reviews, mixed reviews. Death Stranding, I think. What was the other one? What was the other game, Tabz? Control. Again, some people loved that game, some people thought it was rubbish. So it's really interesting.
I don't know rubbish, but I think some people thought it was mediocre, not necessarily...
Okay. Oh, so not quite as polarising as Death Stranding then?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, that obviously some people have hated that game. How... It says, look, click left on the D-pad to Lynn's house. I'm doing that and it's not working. Oh. No.
What do you mean?
This. You see top left there to Lynn's house.
Oh, yeah.
So it says click left on the D-pad, right? Is that what you perceive that as?
Yeah, or do you just... Is it a left and right thing? Do you press X now you're on it?
Oh, is it hit... No, I don't get it.
Press X?
Press X, nothing.
Square?
Square, yeah, nothing.
What about... Oh, I don't know, mate. It's very strange.
It's poor, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's almost as well explained as Death Stranding's menus.
So, yeah, I mean, Game Awards. What, I think the coverage... The two games that straddle out the categories, as we said, are Control and Death Stranding. That's controversial in itself, isn't it, for reasons as Rich has explained. The other part of the controversy is, well, perhaps, is that Jeff Keighley is a big host and potential influence of the Game Awards. As we know, he's keen friends with Hideo Kojima. He's in the game. So, I mean,
you say that, though. There'll be independent judges. Jeff Keys won't be... Or is it Jeff Keighley?
Yeah.
He won't be,
this is it.
I'm
being cynical.
People He won't be on the people. But I get what you're saying. He would want his friend to win Game of the Year. I mean, he says he loves the game as well. So I do get what you're saying. And especially, it seems he's always been someone who took Kojima's side with the whole Konami nonsense.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he might just be the host. He might have no bearing on the behind the scenes of the Game Awards at all. And as we know, the public get to vote on it, don't they? So it's just they present the nominees, I suppose. So that kind of focuses your choices. And, I think some people think at least Game of the Year award, there perhaps could have been a few more nominees in there. But, I've put some votes in today. Death Stranding, Luigi's Mansion 3, Disco Elysium. I've put my votes in today across a few different games, and there's a fairly good spread.
Oh, well, so best multiplayer. What was your thought on best? For me, the best multiplayer game of this year has got to be Smash Brothers. It's got to be.
Yeah, for me personally, because I've not played them all, but yeah, for me personally, I'd say Smash Brothers. What's on there? I've forgotten. Is it like FIFA and stuff? No.
The FIFA wasn't on there. I can't remember the other ones, but the only one that stood out for me was Smash Brothers, because I was just like, that's the only one. I mean, to be fair, it's probably one of the few that I've played on there that was amazing. I mean, score. Death Stranding's got to win best game score, surely.
Oh, thank God for that. Sorry, Death Stranding's got to win the best score.
Yeah, the score's amazing on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the sound design. I mean, as an artistic undertaking, even if you say the gameplay's a write-off, artistically, it's just wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
The art direction and the sound design, magnificent. I can't see how you can...
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to bag those at the least for me.
I think it'll definitely get that. And then, Game of the Year. Now, if you'd have asked me after the first 2 hours of Death Stranding on Saturday, just gone, last week, or last week when this video goes out, I would have said it's not Game of the Year. But if you ask me today if I think Death Stranding's Game of the Year, well, I'm absolutely loving it. It's addictive. It's so strange that such a simple, almost repetitive game mechanic. It's not repetitive because almost every single mission is different. You can go at it in a different way. But I don't think I've played anything else this year to date that's made me feel so like wanting to play a game.
Oh yeah, I would say it's fascinating, remarkable and compelling. Doesn't mean to say it's without flaws, because I'm definitely hitting walls in terms of menu design. I think it's totally laborious and inefficient. And I do get to points where I'm playing it and I have to just put the controller down, walk away for a bit, because it can be that trying. But when considered as a whole package, I'm just loving it. It's so new, different, like beyond anything I've ever played. And that just the social mechanic of it all, how you can meaningfully change this world around you with other people, obviously not directly, on a very micro level. To tiny little things. You're just putting down a sign in a world that that somebody else could use and interact with. I just think it's fascinating and such a, as we said from the start, Rich, an ambitious undertaking with real intent and meaning. Loving it.
The one thing I will say is, if this had fallen, so this has fallen in 2019, where I feel like we're in a bit of a mixed year. So we're in a year of the PS4 sort of coming to an end, and Death Stranding is obviously a massive game for the PS4, and then there'll be a few more games for the PS4 next year. But this year, I don't think there's been that many standout games really on the PS4, and I just feel like
I've just eaten raw garlic, mate.
Nice. Good luck with the breath. I just feel like Death Stranding's chance to win Game of the Year is probably heightened by the fact that there have not been as many amazing games this year. If this game had fallen in a year where you got maybe The Last of Us or Breath of the Wild or all of these other amazing games, would it have won Game of the Year? Given the fact some people don't like the game, I don't know. But certainly, for me, in this year, it's game of this year.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, I love Resident Evil 2 Remake, don't get me wrong, but yeah, part of me feels that the fact that it's a remake, does it really deserve to win Game of the Year on that basis?
Brilliant game, but like you say, you're experiencing the exact same story that you experienced in whenever it was, 98 or whatever it was.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's one of the best remakes I've ever played, but absolutely. I can't say Game of the Year. I hope it gets an award or two. I wouldn't begrudge it of that.
I would say it's the best remake that we've seen. Full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I can get behind that.
Now, obviously, that could all change when Final Fantasy VII comes out. But, that's next year. Yeah. Well, that is where we're at. I think Death Stranding will get a hatful of awards.
Oh, yeah, mate. I really hope it does, just to kind of validate Kojima's efforts, really, because we don't know a great deal about sales at the minute, do we? Although we think it's doing okay.
Yeah, it's done okay, I think.
I think he deserves another crack of the whip with it, a sequel, and obviously I don't know how it ends or anything yet, but I think it's definitely something he can refine, he can work on. There's the fundamentals there of a really good franchise. And I think he's built enough scope into that, for it to be very interesting. So, yeah, I really hope it gets the validation I feel it deserves, but we'll have to see. Mate, where's Shenhua? I've got to find her.
I don't know, mate.
I feel like I've achieved next to nothing in this game while we've chill chat and played, so I need to at least find her. It does seem like
not a lot has happened. Why do you need to find her? Has she ran away?
Join near the Verdant Bridge. No, it just says I need to report back to her and tell her of something I've found out. Hang on, I'll find it in my notepad here.
A lot of empty pages.
Here we go. Go back and shout Shenhua the thugs act like they own the village. Maybe they have something to do with Yuan being gone. So I just need to find her, but how do I find her?
Well, she's back in the village.
But she wasn't in the village. Where did she say she was going? I forget.
At the markets?
At the markets. Oh, so there's the village square, Verdant Bridge. Yeah. So we think village square?
Well, yeah, I don't know, mate. I've been talking. I've not been watching.
Oh. People are going to be screaming at the television at home. She's over here. I feel like she went off this way.
Oh, okay.
No. It is the resounding
Get that
answer.
wall down. Is she at this building here? Is it the woman that was smashing Google Stadia? Is she in it?
Oh, the weird one. He made a note in his book about that.
What?
Basically saying she was an odd bod. Let me find it.
It's the house.
There's a strange old lady in a house near the bell tower.
Mate,
that's where it was, right?
You went to her house. It says visit Lynn's house. So where that house you went to?
Shenhua left the village square without me. Ask the village about Yuan. She just left the village square, so it doesn't say where she went. Let's go this way and see if I get leashed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's quite jarring, isn't it? It's like the gate comes down.
Yeah, mate. Where am I? I'm stuck.
Are you stuck? Yeah, you need to go back out again. No, you need to keep going. Keep going. There's a fence there.
Mate, I've got an OLED. It's so dark on my end. Everything's dark. Oh, here we go.
Right. There you go. May have to trim this down a bit. Might trim this down a bit to the point where you actually find them and just say several hours later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is there a map?
Left. There's normally a map.
I don't want to press the share button back. Left. Up here?
Left. No.
Oh. Did it just automatically take me there because it's so late, or was that where I needed to go?
I don't know, mate.
We'll take it anyway. So, impressions of Shenmue 3?
Gated. A gated community.
Is it slower
Yeah,
than Death Stranding?
Potentially. I don't know. I've not got the sound on, but is the story engaging?
Not hugely at this point, but it's one of those games that you really need to pour into, and obviously I've been kind of talking to you and other stuff, so... I mean, I think it's relatively pretty. It's not ugly.
I would say it looks better than I thought it was going to look.
Some of the characters look
a massive
rough.
bonus. Yeah, they do. The main people don't look rough, though. Some of the other people, the NPCs look a bit rough, though.
Yeah, like they've been made out of these normal-looking NPCs, but their features have been stretched.
Yes.
Like, remember him on Mario 64 at the start where you could like play around with his face?
Yeah.
It's like that, isn't it? Oh, now what then? I'm not listening, you see. Ask around with Shenmue. So just speak with her?
Yeah, just speak to her, mate. Right, should we wrap this one up, Tabz? What do you think?
Well, there we are, Barcadians. Hopefully you've not found this too frustrating. My limited capacity means I've basically half played the game and probably bumbled around like a fool. But hopefully it's given you a little taste of what Shenmue 3 has to offer. It's obviously an acquired taste.
It's slow, definitely slow paced.
Hugely. But 40 hours later, I'm sure I'm going to be in love with it, and it's going to rekindle a lot of that flame I had for the previous series. But yeah, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think to this video, this format, what we've been banging on about. We'd love to hear from you.
And especially if you've got Google Stadia, let us know your dealings with it, how it's working for you. Does it work? Is it broken?
And of course, give this video a like. Really helps to grow and support the channel. If you like what you see from Rich and I, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. And I think that's probably about it for today. Another one for the archives.
Stamped and completed.